Hello, guys. Hope all of you are doing fine. So, before we begin today's lesson, I would really like to apologize to all of you for the delay caused in uploading the videos. Actually, I had a sore throat and therefore I was not able to make any kind of videos. I have not yet fully recovered 100%, but still I'll try my best to read out really well, and I hope all of you will understand. So today we'll begin with block 2, unit number 5 of the same book that we are continuing. So without further ado, let's begin. Block 2, unit 5, History of Journalism and Mass Communication. Communication these days has become a basic social need and is as important as other basic requirements like shelter, clothing, health and education. We all communicate either actively or passively. This unit will basically track the history of communication right from ancient times to our 21st century modern times. The methods and modern means of communication will be discussed here. Early communication methods. Communication is essential for a variety of reasons. It serves to inform, motivate, establish authority and control, and allows for emotive expressions. For humans in particular, communication is also vital for creating a sense of social cohesion. Just as mankind has evolved over the centuries, our means of communication have followed suit. At first, people must have depended on body movements, posture, gesture, facial expressions, and movements of hand, fingers, and feet. Slowly, with time, language developed. Language is the greatest intellectual achievement of humans, writing the greatest inventions. Language is referred to as living, growing, and changing organism. What began as primitive cave paintings and sign language has morphed into an endless variety of ways to express oneself to other humans. Cave paintings. The most well-known form of primitive communication is the ancient cave paintings. Through the cave paintings, the artistic endeavors were created by a species of man that appeared around 1,30,000 BC, that is, the Homo sapiens. The method involved creating pigments made from the juice of fruits and berries, colored minerals, or animal blood. These pigments were then used to create depictions of primitive life on the cave walls. The purpose of the paintings has been questioned by scholars for years, but the most popular theory states that the depictions were used as a manual for instructing others what animals were safe to eat. Oral traditions, that is, storytelling. Storytelling was one of the commonly used forms of early communication. It was used to tell stories, both fiction and non-fiction, before there were books. Traditionally, storytelling has been used to pass wealth of information from generation to generation. However, this information could not be applied outside one's own community as man lived in far and wide geographical spaces. Ever since, mankind has evolved a brain capable of comprehending abstract ideas along with an extremely powerful creative imagination, people began to invent words. Their highly sophisticated talking apparatus in their throats plus this powerful new imagination enabled them to create many complex vocal sounds, and they could associate with everything they encountered in everyday life, even the mysterious things they encountered but did not understand. They connected these vocal sounds into a series of sounds that became crude sentences. Languages were created. This allowed them to convey more complex and sophisticated ideas to one another. Eventually, the sentences became a language, the language of a particular family or tribe. There are thousands of different languages and dialects in the world today. People use this crude language to convey everyday deeds and ideas to one another. Some imaginative people in the tribe began using the words to tell stories of events that happened to them, perhaps on a hunt or some other incident. By telling stories, they soon realized that they could influence the other people to do their bidding, either good or bad. They could dominate other people just by their storytelling. They could frighten them with their stories. These people have evolved into our storytellers, mankind's most influential and powerful people. As languages became more sophisticated and complex, people's imagination began to aggrandize. It's hard to imagine living without having a language to use. The power of our imagination depends upon the sophistication of the society we live in. The more words we have at our disposal, such as living in more sophisticated societies, the better our imaginations will work. Drums and smoke signals were also used by primitive man, but were not the most practical means of communicating. Both methods could attract unwanted attention from enemy tribes and predatory animals. Advent of written communication. Language and writing developed much later in man's early history. The earliest script is supposed to be found in China. Until paper was invented by the Chinese and later in Egypt, there was no written communication except on leather scrolls and palm leaves. Even 1,000 years before the invention of printing press, educated people were handwriting books and documents. The work manuscript base are found in Latin term libri manuscripti, which means writing book by hand. Bedor paper became widely available. Most handwritten manuscripts were written on vellum, which was made from calf skin. Other books were printed with wood blocks, usually made from mulberry wood. Writing systems can be roughly divided into three categories. Logographic is primarily based on pictograms and ideograms. Syllabic is based on syllables, and alphabetic that is based on alphabet. All three of them started to develop in the Bronze Age. The time between the 7th and 13th centuries was considered the age of the religious manuscripts. Most of the books and documents written were of a religious nature and were written by religious leaders. The practice of writing and reading books was mostly prevalent amongst religious scholars and wealthy people because most of the common people were illiterate and could not read and write. The 13th century, however, brought about exciting change in the realm of the written word. For the first time, secular books were produced for the sake of spreading knowledge and not relating to religion. The catalyst for this change was the rise of universities in Italy and gradually in other parts of the world. Today, when we talk about written communication, it is limited to people who can write and read. For this, one should know the alphabet, script, and grammar of the language. For someone to write, say the language English, one should know various parts of speech besides a good knowledge of words or vocabulary. Writing, invention of paper, and later invention of printing by Johann Gutenberg in the 15th century made knowledge available to many more people. Books were the first to appear. Newspapers, magazines, and journals slowly became popular. Such written matter helped people in communicating ideas to a large number of people. Newspapers helped people to be informed about what is happening around the country and in the world. Newspapers also inform about the activities of the government. Writing, unlike speech, involves thoughts, correction, editing or rewriting and occurs in isolation. That means for a writer, it is an individual activity involving a lot of preparation and hard work, unlike speech, which is a shared activity. Now, printing press. In 1448, a man named Johann Gutenberg, born in Germany, revolutionized the way books were made forever. Gutenberg had a vision of a device that would utilize movable type using blocks with pre-printed text. Devised a hand mold to create metal movable type and adapted screw presses and other existing technologies to create a printing system. This method, combined with the use of paper, ink, and a printing press, allowed for books to be mass produced and greatly reduced the price. Gutenberg made his first device by adapting a wine press to remove the water from paper after printing. Gutenberg's initial project with his new invention was a reprint of a Latin speech book. He used the press to print Bible, making it first full-length matter printed. From Germany, printing spread to Europe. In 1465, Rome developed a printing press. The ease of printing and proliferation of ideas panicked several rulers as they felt that the influence of the printed word would lead the masses to rise against the authorities. Hence, they controlled the amount of material that printers were allowed to produce. On the other hand, people started using printing to promote their business in 1600s. During this time, printed news sheets called corantos were developed. The restriction on printing slowed down the pace of writing until the 18th century. Invention of paper in China. Invention of paper revolutionized the face of print. Written word became more accessible. At first, we used stone and clay tablets to express our thoughts. With passage of time, other means of writing surfaces were developed. The first portable and light writing surface was papyrus rolls and early parchment paper, which was made of dried reeds in China, around 500 to around 170 BC. Later on, in 105 BC, Cai Lun of China invented paper as we know it today. Printing press. Before the introduction of printing, manuscript culture was present, where scribes would hand copy a few books a day. The invention of the printing press led to a huge increase of printing activities across Europe within only a few decades. Prehistory of print media during 700 years BC. In 1900 BC, the Chinese independently developed their very own style of writing. The earliest record of Chinese writing was found preserved on various bones. Their achievement was the building stone for the Japanese and Koreans to create their own models in 400 BC. Advent of movable types in China. In 1448, a man named Johann Gutenberg revolutionized the way books were made forever. An inventor born in Germany, Gutenberg had a vision of a device that would utilize movable type using blocks with pre-printed text. The mechanization of bookmaking led to the first mass production of books in Europe. After Gutenberg printed in 1448 and Rome developed a printing press in 1465, printing did not really grow again until the 18th century. The mechanics of printing changed little between 1450 and the 1800s when the power press was introduced. Letter writing and the postman. Letter writing has been a means of communication for centuries. However, it was an inefficient means of communicating as one had to wait until another person was traveling before the letters could be sent. In addition, there was no guarantee when or if the letter would reach its destination. The reinvigoration of letter writing can be traced to the invention of the printing press, the increasing availability of books, a change in the outlook towards religions, and rising literacy rates. In England, between 1500 and 1900, literacy rates rose from 10% to 95% for men and from less than 5% to 95% for women. Sweden achieved a 100% literacy rate in the 18th century after the Lutheran Church ordered that everyone had to be able to read the Word of God, not only pastors and priests as had previously been ordained in many Christian religions. In 1870, compulsory education was introduced to Australia as a means of forging a penal colony to an organized society and helping combat ignorance, which was considered by government to be a contributor to high crime rates. In the United States of America, there was a religious injunction that believers must read the Bible themselves, achieving a 100% literacy rate. The letter writing manuals started coming out in 1750 till 1800. Until this point, it was assumed that only men wrote letters. But from the mid to 18th century, gender division of letter writing began to be questioned publicly. In 1763, the Lady's Complete Letter Writer was published. Letter writing was an important part of childhood instruction in England and America. In 1860, the post office was invented, and then onwards and letter writing became more widespread. Guys, there are many grammatical mistakes in the book, so please pardon me because while reading out I'm trying to correct them, but when totally in a flow it becomes a bit difficult to correct. Even the punctuation mark seems to be here and there a bit. So please try to understand, okay? Please be considerate. Thank you. Letter delivery in the olden days. In ancient civilizations, letters were delivered through messengers who faced the prospect of being robbed, injured, or killed on the way. Then for a long time, mail was only a tool of governments, militaries, and kings. In the 6th century BC, the Persian Empire, now Iran, developed a relay system that went up to 100 miles a day. When horses got tired, they were traded for a fresh one. The Greeks typically employed athlete runners to deliver their mail. Philonides, courier and surveyor for Alexander the Great, once ran from Sion to Elis, that is 148 miles in a day. The Arabs had a system too that was using pigeons. Caesar had a relay similar to the Persians with stopping points or post houses where couriers could rest and trade horses. But after the Roman Empire fell, the mail network collapsed and so did organized communication throughout Europe. Telegraph. Evolution of all things, communication included, involves the desire to perform tasks more quickly and efficiently. This desire was realized with the invention of the telegraph. An Englishman, William Watson, had devised a way to send messages via telegraph in 1747. The logistics of telegraphic communication involved the sending of electrostatically generated signals through a wire. The system involved three main components: a battery to supply the electricity, a key used to complete or break the circuit, and an electromagnet at the receiving end, which consisted of a wire that pulled on a piece of metal when electricity passed through it. The revolution of the telegraph allowed for instant communication across long distances, something that had previously been unheard of. The technology was particularly useful during wartime to transmit pertinent information, and the first telegraph stations were set up along railroads as the necessary poles were already erected. The telegraph was also popular among the Victorian set. Those belonging to the upper class of the society used the telegraph for personal communications, but those of lower economic status were excluded from the technology due to the cost involved in sending a telegraph. The telephone. Telephone or phone is an instrument that converts voice and other sound signals into a form that can be transmitted to remote locations and that receives and reconverts waves into sound signals by an electric device. The word telephone is derived from the Greek word tele, meaning afar or far off, and phone, meaning voice or sound, and together meaning distant voice. The telephone has become one of our best ways to communicate. Today, we take the ability to use a telephone for granted, but in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell was busy realizing a dream that he hoped would once again revolutionize communication. Given our reliance on telephones today, it is surprising to know that Bell's invention was initially quite unpopular. The telephone did not generate nearly as much excitement as the telegraph had a few decades earlier. The telegraph had cornered the long-distance contact market. The lack of popularity may also be attributed to the high cost of telephone service. A familiar telephone is the desk telephone, which sits on a desk, table, or shelf. Some phones have options like holding multiple calls or transferring calls to other phones. An intercom allows one to talk to other people in other rooms. Speaker phones have a microphone and a loudspeaker. With a speaker phone, more than two people can talk in a conversation. Cordless phones do not have wires connected to them, hence are called cordless phones. But they still need to have some nearness to a unit that is wired to the telephone system. Cellular phones are the true wireless phones. Radio. Radio owes its development to two other inventions, the telegraph and the telephone. All three technologies are closely related, and radio technology actually began as wireless telegraphy. The term radio can refer to either the electronic appliance that we listen with or to the content that plays from it. In any case, it all started with the discovery of radio waves, that is, electromagnetic waves that have the capacity to transmit music, speech, pictures, and other data invisibly through the air. History of Indian radio. The history of Indian radio begins from the history of radio broadcast that started in India with the setting up of a private radio service in Chennai in the year 1924. It was followed by the setting up of a broadcasting service that began broadcasting in India in June 1927 on an experimental basis at Bombay and Calcutta simultaneously under an agreement between Government of India and a private company called the Indian Broadcasting Company Limited, only to face liquidation in less than 3 years. Later, as the company became bankrupt, the government took possession of the transmitters and began its operations as the Indian State Broadcasting Corporation. In the year 1936, it was renamed All India Radio or AIR, and the Department of Communications managed it entirely. After independence, All India Radio was converted into a separate department. In the year 1957, All India Radio was renamed Akashvani, which is controlled by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Akashvani is a government-owned, semi-commercial operation of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. The AIR network had expanded by the mid-1990s to around 146 AM stations along with a national channel, the Integrated Northeast Service that aimed at reaching out to the tribal groups in Northeast India and the external services. AIR today has a network of 229 broadcasting centers providing 100% coverage and about 132 million estimated radio sets in the country. Radio has emerged as an important medium of mass communication due to its immediacy and intimate nature. Broadcasting in India has to cater to millions of people with widely different tastes. Radio has an inherent advantage to overcome the major barriers of illiteracy, lack of efficient means to reach remote places, and poverty, which prevents access to mass media. Commercial radio. Commercial radio got a big boost in India following the introduction of FM radio. The goal of government in popularizing FM radio, which is the short form of frequency modulated radio, was to improve program content and give listeners a wider choice of programs by allowing private players to set up radio channels. There have been two major initiatives in the introduction of FM radio. In first phase, that was introduced in 1999, 21 channels were set up in 12 cities. In phase 2, that was initiated in around 2005, the FM radio market literally exploded in India. The number of FM channels grew to 242 and their footprint spread across 85 cities. Phase 3 aimed to take FM radio to towns with 1 lakh population. With this, the FM radio would be available in 294 cities and the number of FM channels would be 839. Community radio. Commercial radio usually is a short-range, not-for-profit radio station or channel that caters to the information needs of people living in a particular locality. It is a radio service offering a third model of radio broadcasting in addition to commercial and public broadcasting. Community stations serve geographic communities and communities of interest. They broadcast content that is popular and relevant to a local, specific audience but is often overlooked by commercial or mass media broadcasters. Community radio stations are operated, owned, and influenced by the communities they serve. It provides the opportunity for representation the people from different ethnic, social, and religious backgrounds and gender. The community radio was not legal in India till 2002. The turning point was a 1995 ruling of the Supreme Court. The ruling also asserted that the right to receive and impart information is enshrined in Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which describes the fundamental rights to freedom of expression and speech. Immediately after the ruling came out, the civil society groups formulated the need for a third tier of broadcasting known as the community radios. Role of community radio in India. Number 1. Community radio serves as a development tool addressing issues of local concern. Number 2. Community radio can also help in taking initiatives such as spreading the education, discuss on local matters, and to take on the corrupt authorities. Number 3. Community radio is often called people's radio for the people and by the people. Number 4. Community radio is a radio service for geographically bound communities where infrastructure is poor and mainstream national and regional media may not reach. The service is usually run and managed by local people and addresses issues relating to the community in the local language. It has great potential to serve as a development tool in rural India in terms of creating awareness, spreading information, and facilitating communication. Television. Television often gets abbreviated to TV, or we widely know it to be called as the idiot box in British English. It is a widely used telecommunication system for broadcasting and receiving moving pictures and sound over a distance. The term may also be used to refer specifically to a television set, programming, or television transmission. The word is derived from mixed Latin and Greek roots meaning far sight. Television made its official debut at the 1939 New York World's Fair. It was seen as an amusing but unnecessary appliance, and the radio continued to be the favored form of communication. Radio's popularity skyrocketed at the start of the World War II as televisions were not yet equipped to provide accurate and timely news. All that began to change in the late 1940s, since it first became commercially available from the late 1930s. The television set has become a common household communications device in homes and institutions as a source of entertainment and news. Television became popular in the 1950s, but ideas for sending pictures over long distances dated back to the 19th century. In 1926, Scottish television pioneer John Logie Baird demonstrated the first television system. TV is a multimedia system predominated by the visual medium. TV can transport the viewers to the actual scene of action to see things as they happen. Having a television set in the home has become essential in today's society, and we depend on it to entertain us with sitcoms, serials, and other entertainment-related programs, and to inform us about the current world issues. In India, given the enormity of literacy, especially among women, radio and television exposure is considerably higher than print media exposure. The electronic media offers women entertainment and information in a homebound environment. The tremendous popularity of television and its ability to reach a vast audience with illiteracy being no barrier led to the idea of using television as a channel for information on development among several governments and administrators. From the mid-70s, television began to be used to promote development-oriented messages among the Indian audience. But there was no exclusive focus on women's problems and their development. In the absence of a comprehensive media policy in India, television content emphasizing entertainment has grown to such an extent that today all television channels are oriented towards commercialization. Although television in India started with the affirmed objective of education, modernization, and development, today's satellite channels have diverted from the cause and are showcasing entertainment shows which are in reality harming the idea of socio-economic development of all. Gerbner and Gross argued that television is the central cultural arm of society, serving to socialize most people into standardized roles and behaviors. They suggested that television cultivated people's beliefs about how the world worked more through the sum total of interactions, behaviors, and value present in television content than through finite attempts to persuade. Television has been a great entertainment for many people all over the earth. It is about news and lots of information. Television has revolutionized the way the modern world communicates and has had a large impact on society. Cinema. Cinema is the Latin spelling of the Greek word kinema, meaning emotion. According to Webster's dictionary, the word derives from cinematograph. The use of the word was first seen in 1899 in Britain, short for cinematograph. Cinema is the British word for a movie theatre. The related words for cinema are celluloid, film, movie house, movie theatre. Indian film industry is considered a huge film industry in terms of production. Indian cinema is a popular mode of entertainment for all. Digitalization is considered to be the next big thing for Indian cinema, and it is in a position to exploit the technology in all aspects from building capacity, content creation, processing, management and distribution of the digital content in various formats and sources. Evolution of cinema. 1896 was a significant year for Indian entertainment as it witnessed the arrival of cinema in India. Few months after first exhibition in Europe and America, Lumiere brothers decided to tour the world and encase the sensational impact of the movie pictures. On July 1896, Lumiere brothers representatives held the first public showing at Bombay's Watson Hotel. Telling stories from the epics using hand-drawn tableau images in scroll paintings with accompanying live sounds have been an age-old Indian tradition. These tales, mostly the familiar stories of gods and goddesses, are revealed slowly through choreographic movements of painted glass slides in a lantern which create illusions of movements. Though Lumiere brothers' new phenomenon did not create much of a stir in India, and no one in the audience ran out at the image of the train speeding towards them as it did elsewhere. The Indian viewer took the new experience as something already familiar to them. Perhaps the most striking feature about the rise of cinema in India is the quickness with which the new technology has found a place in this country. The Indian cinema started with production of short films. The first short film in India was directed by Hiralal Sen, starting with The Flower of Persia back in 1898. The first full-length motion picture in India was produced by Dada Saheb Phalke, a scholar on India's languages and culture who brought together elements from Sanskrit epics to produce his Raja Harish Chandra back in 1913, which was a silent film. It needs to be mentioned here that early cinema faced a great problem in getting female actors. The Indian theatrical tradition was of help in that, and it had a whole category of actors who specialized in female roles. Talkie films. It is difficult for us from our place and time to imagine cinema without sound. There was mass resistance to the intrusion of sound in pictures by the technicians, actors, and directors. As soon as sound came in, the studio became obsolete almost overnight. A film company had to make fresh investments in new equipment and soundproofing. For some time, recording of sound created problems which are best illustrated by the fact that microphones had to be concealed closely around the actors who had to move within inflexible frames, making close-ups less common because of the same reasons. Ardeshir Irani released Alam Ara, the first Indian talking film, on 14th March 1931. Following the inception of talkies in India, some film stars were highly sought after and earned comfortable incomes through acting. As soon as sound technology advanced, the 1930s saw the rise of music in Indian cinema, with musicals such as Indra Sabha and Devi Devyani marking the beginning of song and dance in India's films. Studios emerged across major cities such as Chennai, Kolkata, and Mumbai as filmmaking became an established craft by 1935, exemplified by the success of Devdas, which had managed to enthrall audiences nationwide. Bombay Talkies came up in 1934, and Prabhat Studios in Pune had begun production of films meant for the Marathi language audience. Over a time, magnetic tapes solved the problem, and soon sound technology settled to a process of gradual, increasing refinement. Color films. Kisan Kanya, released in 1937, was a first Hindi feature film in color which was directed by Moti B. Kidwani and produced by Ardeshir Irani of Imperial Pictures. It is largely remembered by the Indian public on account of it being India's first indigenously made color film. Although the trend of colored films started very late, Kisan Kanya was based on a novel by Saadat Hasan Manto and focused on the plight of poor farmers. The story revolved on the life of a poor peasant, Ram, who was being ill-treated by his landlord Ghani. Eventually, Ghani is murdered and Ram becomes the prime suspect in the eyes of the public. The film performed moderately at the box office. 2D and 3D films. 2D films consisted of sound and moving visuals, though they lacked depth. The evolution of technology played a part in upgradation of the 2D films into 3D films. A picture that has or appears to have height, width, and depth is three-dimensional or 3D. A picture that has height and width but no depth is two-dimensional or 2D. 3D films or stereoscopic 3D (S3D) is a motion picture that enhances the illusion of depth perception. Derived from stereoscopic photography, a special motion picture camera is used to record the images as seen from two perspectives, or you can say computer generated imagery that generates the two perspectives, and special projection hardware and or eyewear are used to provide the illusion of depth when viewing the film. Since its invention in 1838, stereoscopy has been used as a technique to create the illusion of a third dimension. Stereosis was first described by Charles Wheatstone in 1838. He says that the mind perceives an object of three dimensions by means of the two dissimilar pictures projected by it on the two retinae. He recognized that because each eye views the visual world from slightly different horizontal positions, each eye's image differs from the other. Louis-Jules Dubosc took that invention and improved on it. Louis took a picture of Queen Victoria using the improved technology and displayed it at the Great Exhibition. This picture became very well known throughout the world. Stereoscopic cameras started to catch on and became fairly common for personal use by World War II. There is a lot of debate about the first 3D film, but Le Rêve du Train, filmed in 1903 by the Lumiere brothers, the inventors of cinema, is often referred to as the first stereoscopic movie ever made. When it was released, audiences panicked because they thought the train was about to crash right into them. In 1950s, 3D saw its first boom. During this era, TVs had become extremely popular and had started appearing in many households. When TV became popular in the United States, many 3D movies were produced to attract the audience. With the commercial success of Bhavana Devil, released by United Artists in 1952, 3D cinema captures the attention of the major studios. They churned out more than 60 films, including Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder and Hondo, starring John Wayne. Alfred Hitchcock originally made his film Dial M for Murder in 3D, but for the purpose of maximizing profits, the movie was released in 2D because not all cinemas were able to display 3D films. The Soviet Union also developed 3D films, with Robinson Crusoe being their first full-length movie in 1947. Although these films were shot with state-of-the-art technology, 3D fell out of use because of the poor viewing conditions in most theaters and due to the complex equipment required to exhibit 3D movies. In the 1960s, a new technology called Space Vision 3D was released. This technology took two images and printed them over each other on a single strip. Unlike previous 3D technologies, it required a single projector with a special lens. This new technology removed the need to use two cameras to display 3D movies. Two camera systems were difficult to use because it required that the two cameras were perfectly synced. The first movie to use this technology was The Bubble. The movie was panned by critics, but the 3D experience still brought huge audiences. It became a profitable movie, making the new technology ready for promotion to other studios. Chhota Chetan was the first Indian 3D movie. The film was made under the banner of Navodaya Films in 1984. Chhota Chetan was a huge box office success and earned around rupees 60 crore during 1984 to 85. The film also won the President's Gold Medal. The movie was re-released with additional footage and digital sound upgrade during 1998. 3D films became more and more successful throughout 2000 to 2010, culminating in the unprecedented success of 3D presentations of Avatar in December 2009 and mainly January 2010. 4D films. 4D films is a marketing term that describes an entertainment presentation system combining a 3D film with physical effects in the theater, which occur in synchronization with the films. Because the physical effects are expensive to set up, 4D films are usually presented only at special venues such as theme parks and amusement parks. However, in South Korea, some movie theaters also have the ability to present a 4D film, and the film Avatar was one of the 10 films that have received the treatment, starting with Journey to the Center of the Earth. Internet. The original Internet was invented in 1967 for military purposes. An Internet, in its most basic form, is simply a group of computers able to connect to each other and share information. Once the Internet started to catch on, it was primarily used by corporations for collaboration purposes. Today, the Internet is available everywhere and to everyone. Each Internet computer, called a host, is independent. Its operators can choose which Internet services to use and which local services to make available to the global Internet community. There are a variety of ways to access the Internet. The Internet is a global network connecting millions of computers for exchanges of data, news, and opinions. It is used for a variety of reasons, including socializing, conducting research, and advertising. It has even surpassed the television as a source of communication because you can receive any information you want instantaneously. One click of a button and a website will load with whatever information one has requested for. Often, web and the Internet are confused for being the same. The Internet is not synonymous with World Wide Web or WWW. The Internet is a massive network of networks, a networking infrastructure, which connects millions of computers together globally, forming a network in which any computer can communicate with any other computer as long as they are both connected to the Internet. The World Wide Web, or simply the web, is a way of accessing information over the medium of the Internet. It is an information sharing model that is built on top of the Internet. The Internet access varies by income, education, race, age, and location, and access has been increasing across all of these groups. The internet has totally transformed the access to and relationship with information on a global scale. Today, everyone acknowledges that this technological revolution has had a considerable impact on daily life, how we work, freedom and the control of information, the economy, and business. Social media. Social media integrates technology, social interaction, and content creation to collaboratively connect online information. Through social media, people or groups can create, organize, edit, comment on, combine, and share content in the process, helping agencies better achieve their mission goals. Social media is designed to meet three specific criteria. 1. The majority of the content on the site is user generated, and 2. There is a high level of interaction between social media website users, and 3. The websites are easily integrated with other websites. Some of the common social media are blogs such as WordPress, Blogstar, and social networks such as Facebook, microblog sites such as Twitter, wikis such as Wikipedia, video-based such as YouTube, podcasts, photo sharing such as Flickr or Instagram, and so on. Blogging is of the popular social media platforms. A weblog or blog was first developed in 1997. A blog makes it possible for any other person with internet access to create a type of website without having to be familiar with any form of HTML, that is hypertext markup language. This kind of coding is generally necessary to create a website. Blogs are replacing journals as a form of self-expression for many young people today. Social media and blogging have had a significant impact on personal and professional relationships. Yet, having a web presence is vital in today's society and economy. Facebook is an online social networking service. Its name stems from the colloquial name for the book given to students at the start of the academic year by some American university administrations to help students get to know each other. It was founded in February 4, 2004 by founders like Mark Zuckerberg, Dustin Moskovitz, Eduardo Saverin, Chris Hughes at Cambridge, Massachusetts, United States. Twitter is an online social networking service and microblogging service that enables its users to send and read text-based messages of up to 140 characters known as tweets. It was first founded in March 2006 by Evan Williams, Jack Dorsey, Bill Stonesat, and San Francisco, California, and US. YouTube is a video sharing website created by 3 former PayPal employees in February 2005 and owned by Google since 2006. On this, the users can upload, view, and share videos. It was founded in February 14, 2005 by Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Javed Karim. The company is based in California and uses Adobe Flash Video and HTML5 technology to display a wide variety of user-generated video content. Most of the content on YouTube has been uploaded by individuals, although media corporations and other organizations offer some of their material via the site as part of the YouTube Partnership Program. A wiki is usually a web application which allows people to add, modify, or delete content in collaboration with other users. Ward Cunningham was the developer of the first wiki software, WikiWeb, that is www. Wiki is a Hawaiian word meaning fast or quick. While a wiki is a type of content management system, it differs from a blog or most other such systems in that The content is created without any defined owner or leader, and wikis have little implicit structure, allowing structure to emerge according to the needs of the users. Flickr is an image hosting and video hosting website created by Ludicorp, a Vancouver based company and founded by Stuart Butterfield and Katrina Fake in 2004 and acquired by Yahoo in 2005. It is a popular website for users to share and embed personal photographs, and the service is widely used by photo researchers and by bloggers to host images that they embed in blogs and social media. Photo sharing is not confined to the web and personal computers, but is also possible from portable devices such as camera phones. So this brings us to the end of Unit 5. Unit 6 will be uploaded soon. So I hope all of you found this video to be helpful enough. If you did, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.